Hello and welcome to my video for the Introduction to Engineering Design using Inventor. This is the first video that I want you to look at before you do anything with Inventor. It's very important that you know about these 5 things before you begin. Alright, first thing I need to talk about is file organization. Before we begin using Inventor in the first place, I want you to organize your files. That way you won't lose them. A lot of times, if you have multiple parts and you try to assemble them together, your computer is not going to be smart enough to figure out what parts you're talking about. So unless you have it organized properly, the computer won't be able to find the file. Maybe you mislabel it or you don't label it clearly enough and you won't get your part to work, which will cause a lot of frustration because you'll spend a lot of time on your files. And it's just going to be sad if you work so hard on it and you don't have the files and you can't turn in anything, therefore you get no grade for it. Okay, so with file organization, you will have to go into your computer and figure out how to get into a folder. For the most part, you should be able to get to this part. Either click on my computer, but you'll see some sort of folder that'll pop up. You could go to your desktop, documents, all this stuff. You want to go to this PC on your computer. This is my home computer, so it doesn't look the same as the school one, but we're just going to pretend like some parts are different. When you click on this PC, you're going to see a local disk and then maybe like shared drives and stuff like that. But what you want to click on is it's going to look like this part right here. It's not going to look like a folder. It's going to look like this, and it's going to have your student ID number on it. If you logged into your computer with your student ID, then your student ID number should pop up on one of them. If it doesn't pop up, then that means you're not connected to the network, meaning you're not connected to the internet of the school. Maybe the internet's down. Maybe you're not at the school. I don't know why it wouldn't show up, but you should see a student ID number here. So we're going to pretend like this is your student ID number, and you'll click on it. Double click. When you click on here, I already created this folder, but you might have old files from middle school. You probably mislabeled them, like your first name or something like that, even though it was a history paper about, I don't know, World War II or something like that. But since you didn't label it properly, you're probably going to have to open it up and figure out what it was before. You might think that you don't need it, but it's actually useful to save it by what the topic was so that in the future, you might have to write a paper similar to that again, and then you might be like, oh, I already did this one time. Maybe I could just edit it. Or else you're going to have to start all over. So, organization is important. I already created the folder here. In order to do this, you right-click, and you hit New Folder. When you do that, you could type in what you want it to say. I put in IED for Introduction to Engineering Design, and then I put the current school year. You could put 9th grade, you could put 10th grade if you want, but I wouldn't just put IED. I would put the year that you worked on it. We don't need this one, so I'm deleting it. And then within here, if you double click, are all the other projects that you're going to work on. So first thing we do is Puzzle Cube. You are going to do an automata later. I created one called Miscellaneous and Personal Files. Miscellaneous might be like little parts that we practice together in class. Personal files might be something that you want to 3D print. Again, the idea is once you get good at Inventor, you will create parts, 3D print them, and hopefully use it for your senior engineering project or maybe something at home. We've had people print little tiny like random plastic parts for some item they needed at home and just to replace the one that they have right now. Like maybe some piece of plastic broke and the thing works perfectly fine if they could just recreate this tiny little plastic thing. So, again, very useful. Hopefully you guys get really good at it. So make sure you have this automata one and this puzzle cube one. Other than that, I don't think for now we have other projects specifically. If we do, I'll tell you in class, create a folder called so-and-so. So, that's file organization. So everything we make with having to do with the puzzle cube, I want you to save in here. Everything with the automata, I want you to save in here. And then anything miscellaneous will go here. If you make a cookie cutter, which is something I really want to do, then I would put that under, I don't know, miscellaneous. Okay, next thing, backup to flash drive. So, back here. Back to this. Within here. So once we get here, so if you have a flash drive in, I have my Memorex, my old flash drive in here. If you just drag this over to Memorex, it's going to copy to it. And you want to back up at least once a week. So maybe every Friday I might say, take out your flash drives and back up everything, because something could happen. Our school could crash, that maybe all the files disappear, which has happened apparently before. Not since I've been there, but it's happened before and everybody freaked out. So, very important to back up your stuff. If you move maybe and you go to a different school, maybe at that school you might start doing some Inventor again, and maybe you want to look up some old stuff you used to make. Either way, very important to back up. So again, every week you just go back and drag it right back in there, copy it to it, and it'll back it up. Sometimes they'll say like, are you sure you want to replace the existing file? And you say yes. Okay. Free Inventor software for students. If you go to the internet, so this is a website, you type free Inventor students, and the first thing that pops up is this. So then you would create an account, right? Create an account, all this stuff, student, all this stuff, and create an account. I think you get it for 3 years, maybe more. But either way, it's nice that it's free, because this thing actually costs like, I don't know, $1,000 plus. If you decide to get this free thing, you have to look at your system requirements. So if you type system requirements for Inventor 2019, this page should pop up. If you go to Best Buy, Fry's, Micro Center, you need to tell them this is what you need in order for your computer to run Inventor. If you have like a gaming computer, most likely you already have the requirements, so you'll be good, but it's not going to work with one of those little $100 Chromebooks. That doesn't have enough power to run this stuff. If you can't afford like a computer that can do this, there's some other options. You can use Fusion 360, which I think has less requirements. I haven't really used this before, but I see it a lot on the internet, like YouTube videos. Some teachers use this more than they use Inventor. The great thing about Fusion 360, it's similar to Inventor. It's a little different, so I can't really teach you anything, but again, YouTube is a better teacher than I am, so you could kind of learn on your own. They're all very similar. They're similar in the way they create stuff, just some are more specific. Fusion 360, some people like this because it's a cloud, meaning like it's all online and it's all shared. It's kind of like Google Docs, where you could work with somebody and two people could be typing stuff at the same time. Or Google Slides, like the PowerPoint stuff. So like there's a bunch of people in this room, I guess, and they're all working on the same CAD file. I'm not really sure what's going on here, but something like that. So if you're interested, this is something you would do on your own, maybe. Sometimes if I have some part, you might want to try doing this. No guarantee that it'll work perfectly. So just up to you if you're interested. If you don't want to get the full-blown computer. You could also get something, or not get, you could go to this website called Tinkercad. So if you go to Tinkercad, you could create like parts on your own. Let's see if I go back here. You have to create a free account, and then within there you create something, and again, it's similar. I made this really fast, where it's a tape dispenser roll in the middle. The salesperson for our 3D printer was like, what do you want to print? So I just made this really quick, and they printed it really fast. So this is, again, super user-friendly, but it's very, very simple stuff. You can't make something very technical or very specific. So if you had a professional job, you might not really use this, because a lot of the stuff that you'll make, and if you're very, very good at this, it's going to be way more specific, way more like detailed. Another thing that I've heard of is something called SolidWorks. SolidWorks. When we go to robotics competitions, they're always there sponsoring. They want us to use their software, but I've never really used it, so I'm not going to start teaching it either. And Tinkercad. Another thing that's actually quite popular that I haven't listed here is Google SketchUp. That's actually pretty user friendly too. I know architects that use it because it's free and it actually looks pretty nice. So if you're interested in that, you should look into Google SketchUp. This part right here, free certification test for DSD students. There is a certification test that you can take. If you just put inventor certification, Certiport, people that do the test will pop up. They have a information PDF here that tells you like some of the stuff that they're going to test you on. It also says there's a practice test, and then I have to contact them for that, and I could try to figure out how to do that. But before I do that, I actually want to know how many people are interested. So if you're interested, let me know, and then I'll have some sort of clipboard with a list of students that are interested, and then I'll ask more about it through my CTE representative. That's it for this one. Stay tuned for our next video.